Hello, I'm Rob, here at the lair of OmnusI, recounting the deeds of my players for the last game they played of Werewolves of the Caribbean, Werewolf the Apocalypse, set in 1660 Caribbean, primarily. This was from the episode from the 31st of September, or 31st of August, I'm sorry. And all players were eventually in attendance. That was Nathan, the Arun of the Geta Fenris, Aiden, the Arun of the Silver Fangs, Nikolai, the Child of Gaia Theurge, Vlad, the Shadow Lord Galliard, Peter, the Warder of Men, Regabash, and Grace, the NPC Bonar Philidox. And they were, at the time, just getting over the idea of how they were going to proceed after the Phoenix Dagger now had a new holder, Nikolai, and it was not keen on letting him go. So they were going to have to go to the River Erebus, which is made of molten silver, used to purify Garou of horrible taints. Basically so they can reforge themselves if they survive. They need to do this because Vlad ran afoul of an undead, and even though he was saved at the brink of death's door by a quick application of the healing that Nikolai gave him, he became a Gnosis vampire. A creature that, while mostly alive, was kept in health by sustaining himself through his Gnosis. Left to drain, he would eventually die. So they were trying to cure him of this, even though he kept saying, "Can I keep this draining power thing?" Because he thinks it's really cool. The other groups, everyone else thinks it's an abomination and it has to end. But the group summoned a loon to show them how to get to the River Erebus, because there's no road maps. And they summoned a loon, did a good job, got one that knows enough to help them, had enough power and knowledge and stuff. But the charm Ert sense is fairly common among spirits, and they found one that was powerful enough for the trip, but then it said, well, first of all, you have to get by them. And by them, it was a secret pack of Silver Fangs who were hunting for the dagger. They had found out that Aiden's family had dropped the ball and lost the dagger, and they were going to claim it for their family, for their own personal honor. So they were more than willing, to kill a child of Gaia to get it. So they attacked pretty ruthlessly, since the group was clearly not going to give up the dagger. And these Silver Fangs were willing to leave bodies in the Umbra. So they attacked, and one of them had a clave. I mean, this was a serious fight. Kinda. And unfortunately, it was a fight where my dice were not in existence. It was bad. Very bad. In Werewolf, I make it kind of a point of pride, though. I don't fudge in Werewolf. I let the dice fall where they may. If a character dies because my dice are hot, they die because the reality of their world calls for it. There's very few circumstances, unless something is truly unfair, that I don't let the dice roll where they may. Unfortunately, that can also mean if my dice are cold, the party can have a very easy time. It lets them feel like they are werewolves capable of just ripping stuff up and being incredibly powerful warriors. They eviscerated that poor group of... Well, I shouldn't say poor group, because they were the jerk Silver Fangs that a lot of people associate with the clan, or the tribe. Not to say that they didn't almost kill Peter, who was trying to fight them off, to keep them off of Nikolai, who himself got badly damaged by the screw with the clave. Aiden basically ate the first round getting his Luna's armor up so he could try to defend everybody. But the Guru were ready for them, and their Theurge had an ability which threw up Luna's armor on his entire pack. Grace kind of pled with Gloriana to even the fight, because it was basically an ambush. And rolled well, and Gloriana's like, okay, we'll make it a fair fight, but I'm not getting you out of this. So she smashed the charm that gave all of the other pack Luna's armor. which made it a lot more of a fair fight. Two of the attacking pack pinned Aiden as best as they could, trying to hold him back. They didn't really want to kill him. They were prepared to just finish off whatever packmates they had to, take the dagger, and just leave. They didn't really want to spill Silverfang blood. The rest of the party wasn't quite so obliging, though. Peter, like I said, fought hard, and he ended up dropping one. Grace ended up shooting one of the Silverfangs with a silver load that they probably didn't know that she was carrying, but she thought it was a good idea, and ended up dropping one of the attacking Guru, because she kept one of the rifle that she took from the Silverfang when they were at Aiden's family's estate. So she did her thing. They attacked the Theurge, and they killed him. And the leader of their pack, the Arun, went down. I think Peter ripped his spine out. It was disappointing. At first, it was like he could take no damage because he was very tough. He was a very powerful Guru, and the Luna's armor that he had up gave him basically proof against almost anything. He even had another charm that had given him extra health levels and such. But then my dice went south. And I will show the other players what my dice are. If they're particularly bad, I'll let them know, yeah, you get this one. The dice are not with my characters. So, the party finished off the Guru. One of them ran away to tell his family what happened. But for the most part, they offed these Silverfangs. And for the most part, this group did not have a great deal of stuff on them to loot. There were about 15 different talons, so the group found a lot of useful little one-shot magical items that the Theurge had on them. And of course, they had the clave that they claimed, and even though he doesn't have one, Aiden said, you know what, greatest in station, Peter, you took the guy out. You get his clave. So, yeah, now he is packing a silver clave, and it's interesting. But then the group was, basically, the Loon showed Nikolai how to find and travel on the shadow paths through the Umbra. Basically, cracks in the superstructure that spirits can exploit to move very quickly through the Umbra. There's a Ragabash gift that allows them to penetrate into it, rank 3. I believe I created it. And there's a rite that allows you to draw other people along the shadow path with you. Normally it's something that only one person can go on at a time. So, and if it sounds like I'm taking liberties with the Umbra, if you've read the Umbra book, it is because that's how I run World of Darkness. My World of Darkness is not the same as the book, necessarily. I've changed a few things here and there, and make things a little bit more supernatural and less relying on statistics and just the lore from the book. So, the party treks off along through this shadow path. And despite the fact that there's kind of wends and bobs along, they don't come into any combat encounters, but eventually it opens up into a large clearing along the path to find out that there's an entire city along the shadow path full of were-rats, the ratkin. And the Gru immediately are glowing like a beacon because, they've got a clave, and the Phoenix dagger, of course, is just hard. It's impossible to miss. So while they're toting that around, they'll never get surprised on things in the Umbra. So a delegation of the Ratkin come out to meet them. And they're like, what's your purpose? And the Gru are very polite. They're not all haughty and arrogant because Aiden is a decent guy. He's not, I am a Silverfang, you will let me go. He's like, we're just passing through. No problems. We don't want any trouble. Our path takes us through, but whatever way we can go through. Which the elder Ratkin, whose name is Cyrus, and if you are watching and you've played in a couple of my games in the past, I have a recurring character that's passed between different stories, a Ratkin named Cyrus, who is the wise elder who sometimes serves as an example that the guru don't have a monopoly on wisdom, and that he's, very protective of his people, but he's also a wonderful source of information and wisdom. And he's like, okay, if you'll agree to go into a cart covered so that you won't scare all the other ratkin who live here, we can let you go through the city. And they agreed. So they brought out a fish wagon. It's not glamorous, but it can cover the pack. So they go into it, trustingly. And Cyrus goes, well, are you interested in going and seeing the bazaar? What's the bazaar? Well, this is the grand city of our people, and since our people are collectors from things all over the world, we bring them back here and we trade and barter, and it's a great source of the wealth of the Ratkin. Even other races come here. Your Guru come here. The Bastet come here. The different cultures. Even some humans and mages can come here. The party is like, ooh, shopping spree. Those who have money are probably more interested in it, but I think they all like to see the great Shadow Bazaar of the Ratkin. So the wagon takes them over, and Cyrus brings out a white stone. He breaks it. He says, you hold this. If you crush it, my stone will turn red, and it will lead me to you. We can find you and help take you out of the bazaar, but you're on your own. Behave, and as long as you are civil, and as long as you are, you can contain yourselves, you should be fine. That's where we ended the night. I gave them 2 weeks to think about the kind of things that they'd be interested in going and visiting in the Shadow Bazaar. And I look forward to seeing if they put in any thought. So if you're listening, think about it. Your party is in a place where there is practically anything that's appropriate in the time period, from antiquity to the 1660s. You can buy and sell just about anything here. Think about it. You might be able to find something very profitable. There's also, because it's in the world of darkness, there's talons and fetishes and other things that are being traded by these ratkin at a crazy rate. Information is passing hands. As these shadow paths are honeycombed throughout the Umbra, they also touch on the near Umbra and places all over the world. So these ratkin are probably better communicating than almost any other culture, realistically. Only a few cultures like the Koraks, the Wereravens, and mages have better communication lines. So, let's see what they make of it. It was a rather short session because I had to go off to my son's school orientation. Should be exciting. But I will talk to you later.